Alright, hey y'all. I'm standing here in front of one of the many fruit trees I have on the homestead. And I've never been one to call my place like a permaculture for homestead, but it's all the same thing. Whether or not you use words like permaculture or any kind of other culture, horticulture, agriculture, it's all, and doing what you do on your property to make it self-sustaining. That's what I've always said. I wanted to make it to where I could self-sustain off of my property. It's almost impossible to do that these days, but to strive towards that goal, helps you to get closer and closer to it. It's just something you want to achieve, to become as close to that and maybe get there one day. So I wanted to just take y'all on a quick little tour to show you just how much fruit grows on a little small 6-acre homestead here. This was a very exceptional year for many things. Some things not so great, but for the most part, this was an exceptional year. This mulberry tree here has not stopped producing this year, and it got to the point to where it was so heavy with fruit, so fruit laden, that the branches were just almost to the point of cracking. And pretty nice little mulberries off of there, if y'all can see them. Yummy. So I'm gonna take y'all on a little tour around, and it's getting a little darker, but I have some pictures of this tree I'll show y'all from earlier in the year. But I mean, this is just mulberries everywhere. I mean, you could just get them all over this tree. Mess everywhere. And the chickens love them. Just they're everywhere. I mean, fruit laden. Come over here. More fruit. Go up the tree, come down. Look at these beautiful fruit. Beautiful. Look at that. Delicious. So delicious. Look at him. Beautiful. Big old bug on that one. Don't eat the bugs. I'm sure I'll get my share of bug protein. Eating them like that. Look at that. It's beautiful. So anyway, all up in this tree, all up to the top, provides great food for us and for the chickens. I got another few mulberry trees on the property, but I planted this one strategically next to the coop, and it has gone pretty crazy because of the natural fertilizer that it gets from the coop. And I'll show you one of its the twin to it, how small it is, but let's move on. Alright y'all, I ain't never seen a mulberry tree hang so heavy with fruit in my life. This year has just been stunning for how much fruit we have. And then beautiful berry. This beautiful berry. The tree is so chock-a-block full. Look at this. It's beautiful berries. Delicious. Beautiful, huh? Whole trees full up like that. Great. So sweet and delicious. You can go out here and pick several pounds a day at least. Every day. It's been like this for started about 2 weeks ago, but for the past week it's just been off the rails. I mean, look how many berries are still on there that are unripened. They grow big fast when they start to ripen. The squirrels all up in this tree, and so are the birds. The chickens, you can see them all over the ground. That's from the birds and the squirrels breaking them out of the tree. This is beautiful though, how many there are. I just wanted to show y'all that. I guess if I ever put another video up again, I'm hoping to start doing that soon. Break out of this funk we've been in over here. Been hard. Been real hard. No, I ain't gonna lie. It's one of the more difficult things we've had to deal with as a family. Can always be worse though. We have wild fruit being produced here. This is the wild black cherries. These are, if you go back into some of my videos, you can see me pick some of these. Reach up there and grab them. These wild black cherries. They're they taste like cherries, but there's a big pit in them. I'm gonna show you. There it is. So you gotta get rid of that. And they're very juicy. Look at all that juice on there. Very juicy. And they taste just like a black cherry does from the store, but not as sweet. Probably not as sweet, but you squeeze enough of these and ferment them, you can make cherry bounce wine. A lot of people make that out here. I like to make jellies and jams and ice cream. I love making ice cream with them. Yep. And looking at a black cherry tree, one of the telltale ways to make sure you got a black cherry tree is if you look under the leaf and you look on the spine and they have that little tuft, You see this little tuft of like little hairs along it? It goes halfway up, a little brown. It's right there on the edge, that little brown on the edge of the spine. That'll tell you that you have a black cherry tree. It's a little tough. It's not so easy and prominent to see on here. Look, this one's easy to see. See that little brown line going halfway up? Right there? That tells you that's a cherry tree. But when they got the cherries on it, you can tell easy enough. Alright. But that is a big cherry tree right there. It goes all the way up. That is a black cherry, southern black cherry. Prunus serratna is its genus and species name. I know the wild trees out here. I don't know the, like these cultivars of figs here. I don't know what the genus and species it is. This is just a domesticated fig. This is my bane of my existence for these figs. It's just vine and fern. I hate it. But see how it gets it climbs that tree so fast. But figs. Wow, we got some figs. Look at the figs, huh? Look at that. Look at all of that. Figs everywhere. Never have a shortage of people who want to come pick figs. Never have a shortage of people who want to come and pick figs. I got tons of figs. Tons of figs. Alright, y'all. It's run from the storms, and it's storms chasing me in, storms chasing me back out, well, chasing me in, and then I get some break in the weather and I can come back out. I was in the middle of my fruit trees of the homestead. This is the next one. This is a native wild variety. This is a volunteer. Came up in my fig area, and this is probably most homesteaders recognize this. This is an elderberry, and this is Sambucus canadensis. That's how it was named when I was in school learning it for genus and species. But I think since then they're going to calling it Sambucus nigra canadensis. I'm not 100% sure on that, but anyway, who cares? Everybody goes by the common name of just elderberry or black elderberry, and we all love this tree for what it does, its medicinal purposes, and just what it can do. You can even make elderberry wine, elderberry syrup, elderberry jam, jelly. So many good and beneficial uses of this tree's fruit. Okay, and I have two more new arrivals to the homestead. Two new arrivals to the homestead. This is an Awori Satsuma, and this is Hamlin Orange, or Louisiana Sweet Orange. So, and then this is one of the other trees. This is a beautiful blueberry bush tree, and it's full of ripe blueberries right now. Let's get a close-up of that. I was going to pick some of these. I am going to pick some of these. Look at all of this fruit on here. Will you? Beautiful. Beautiful blueberries. This is one of the trees I planted when we first arrived at this piece of property. They had a few here already, two actually. And those trees, I'll show y'all a little bit later, are putting out blueberries just the same. I'm going to go ahead and pick a few of these. I had a request from one woman at work who wanted some blueberries, and I got a bunch of them. This tree right here is a premier blueberry, and the one next to it over there, which I'll show y'all in a little bit, they're not growing as fast, but they're growing fine, and the deer have kind of given it a little bit of a run. It's a Brightwell. One thing about planting blueberries in this area is that they need to be rabbit eye blueberries for them to grow. I think they call them short bush rabbit eye, I believe. And they grow and produce beautiful, beautiful fruit. Just wonderful fruit. Look at that there. Pretty good mess of blueberries off of this bush, and I'm not even halfway done, and this bush is one of the smaller ones. This is really its first year putting out anything of a harvestable nature. I mean, a real noteworthy harvest. Oh, peck on that one. Yeah, Premier is just really good blueberry. Gotta watch when you're picking them. You'll knock some off. Some of them gotta go to the wildlife and the chickens. They'll be under here soon. Everywhere I go, they come follow, see what I did. They know that I'm pretty much gonna be doing something with some kind of food they'd like on this property. Some of them a little bit before ready, but a large majority of them already. You let these get real ready, and they say you get to that most juicy, beautiful tasting. All right, y'all. One little bush. Almost a quart. Guess 32 ounces almost. This is its counterpart I planted. That's the Brightwell. You can see it's a little bit smaller. It's been hit by the deer, but it'll catch up. This is the sister tree to the other mulberry. Look at the difference in size. Not planted next to a chicken coop. It's had quite a few mulberries on it this year, but it's pretty much done for. It has very few berries left, and it had quite a few for what it is, but you can see the tree is significantly smaller. I got a couple more blueberries over. I got a couple more blueberries right over here. This here is another Brightwell and another Premier planted next to each other. This Brightwell is doing a little bit better, and it actually has a blueberry, a couple blueberries. There's one. I don't think I've ever had a Brightwell blueberry. Let's see. Pretty good. Not bad. A little underdone. Probably need another day or two. And here is another Premier with plenty of black blueberries. The thing about this one is it's more in a shaded and a cooler area. You know, you get these little microclimates on your property, And even if it's with the sun hitting in a certain area and not hitting in a certain area, you have development of fruit and vegetables in different stages. And I use that on my property to enhance my growing seasons, to elong my growing seasons. And for crops like tomatoes or something that are very heavily influenced by heat, I'll use it to help extend the growing season if I can, by using the shade of the trees to knock down the sun, or the lower areas of the land where the coolness holds a little bit better. It's different. It's strange how these little microclimate areas, even on your property, can affect when the berries are done. These berries are far from ready to be done. You can see a few of them are getting there, but even those, I mean, you would think that was done, but that really needs, you see, you could tell it has that little red on the back still. Yeah, a little red on the back still. It's gonna be tart, and a little bit. See another one right there. It might be a little bit more ready. Let's see. Definitely not a bad flavor. Definitely not a bad flavor, but it can still be better. I love blueberries, no matter what. Alright, let's move on to some of the other trees. I have a lemon tree right here, and it's lemon tree struggle in this zone. Zone 8B is very difficult to get lemon trees to grow in. This one's doing about the best, and it's also the younger of the two lemon trees. We'll see. 1 year, you never know, it might come on and really put on the structure. Once it really grows out, you'll be fine. But as anyone has known and followed my channel, even the most large and full citrus trees can get whammed and whacked in 1 year by the cold and lose all of their leaves and then come back. And we're getting ready to go see that right now. Alright, y'all, here are the citrus trees, the big orchard of citrus trees. And if anyone watched the citrus tree episodes that I had from the freeze, you'll know that they're recovering from quite a big blow this year. With the freeze that happened this winter, almost all of these trees lost all of their leaves. And you're seeing some fruit come on to some of these satsumas here. But it's still out for the jury to see how the fruit ends up this year in this tree, because it's sporadic at best. Hello. So it's sporadic at best on how much one of my neighbors. So it's sporadic at best how many fruit we're gonna see come on this tree here. It looks like it's gonna do pretty well, and it's just patches of the trees that, you know, down here they usually have tons of satsumas, and I just don't see many. But then here we go, there's some right here. Are there any up here? No. And none over here. See, that's a big patch of this tree that's devoid. And look at here, there's one right there. And there's a couple right here, but these look shady, whether or not, and see that one right there, whether or not it'll grow into a full-fledged mature fruit. We'll see. I mean, we got some up here, and even up into the far reaches of the tree. Kind of hard to hold this with one hand. So that's the satsuma tree. This is the best one too. You can see it's making something after such a rough go. And now look at this. The kumquat tree is just finally starting to put its flowers out. This tree is going to put out a bazillion of flowers, and it's going to have fruit everywhere. I can tell you that right now. Look at the flowers coming. They're just starting to show up, and this tree is going to have kumquats on it for days and days and days. I know that for a fact. This tree is going to be very prolific on fruit. Look at all the flowers coming on. These are just little flowers everywhere. Look. If you look, them little white dots are all flowers. And they are small, but they're everywhere, 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 everywhere. Okay, so we're gonna have tons of kumquats. This here is the other lemon tree, and it's taking a beating like I don't know. But it's growing and it's coming back. You can see it died. A whole big branch of it died on that side. I don't know what's up with that, but I'll cut it off, and whatever grows, grows. You let it go. Whatever happens, you take it. Here's some more satsuma trees. None of these, I do believe, have any satsumas. There might be one or two sporadic ones here and there, but I wouldn't be able to spend much time looking for them. This is a big tree right here. It should have satsumas all over it, and it doesn't. It had flowers all over it, but it just doesn't have. It lost all the fruit. And the trees, that's the thing about fruit trees. They'll decide what they can hold and what they can't hold. And if they don't want it, they will shed all the fruit, all the flowers and all the fruit, the little immature fruit, off of them. So don't get too discouraged if you see that happen. That is a normal, natural thing. I see one satsuma on this tree. I just saw it. There it is, right there. One satsuma. There might be more, you know. And I'm not going to sit here and dwell on it all day. Next year's a new year, and there might be plenty more. So, let's go have a look-see at some of the other fruit trees. This is one of the walnut trees I planted over here. I'm trying walnut trees in the deep south. Whether or not they grow or not, we'll see. But I had to put them, all my little trees, even the magnolias, I had to put behind cages, because believe it or not, the deer were coming and eating. You can see how it took a chunk out of that one leaf. They chomped all the leaves, even on magnolia. They chomped them. Well, that's our cat. She comes and visits us and stays with us every so many days. I don't know who she is, but she likes being over here and staying under the house every now and then. And we like having her around. She keeps the vermin away for us. So, over in this area, there's another satsuma tree, and that one's going through hell, and I need to come and trim it back because some more dead branches on it. This is another walnut tree. This is a Tulare. I think the other one is just a regular white walnut. But this is a Tulare I planted, and it's growing. Doing pretty good. Trying to get some nuts, but we're not focusing on it. This right here is a native persimmon. This persimmon right here is Diospyros virginiana. These are what's called dioecious. These species are dioecious, which means die to 2 houses for both sexes of the species. So you have what are called male and female trees. Now, there's a commercial out on TV right now that's spreading a bunch of stupid propaganda that there's male and female trees and that the female trees absorb the pollen. So you should plant more female trees to absorb all the pollen so that they can absorb it. That's horse crap. They do absorb the pollen for the fruit, but they're not going to absorb any more than what they would absorb normally that would fall onto the plant. The pollen falls onto the plant. It doesn't keep the pollen from the male trees out of the environment, and the male trees are not evil like the commercial suggests that the male trees are bad and giving us all pollen. However, that is not the norm in forest. In the forest, in the wild, the norm is a monoecious tree, not a dioecious tree. Monoecious means one tree, one house for both sexes. Monoecious, one. One. And an oak tree, like this big water oak over here, is a monoecious tree. It produces both male and female flowers. So it produces pollen and it produces the acorn, which is the female part of the fruit from the tree or the nut. And it's a monoecious tree. This is a dioecious tree. It's the persimmon. So people, get your facts straight when you hear stuff. Don't fall for all the rigmarole about that. So anyway, this is a wild persimmon, and they will produce, I guess it's more of like a drupe type fruit, very small berry. It's about the size of a 50-cent piece, or a ping pong ball would be better. It's maybe the size of a ping pong ball at its largest, and full of seeds. But the fruit is so sweet and delicious, and wildlife will eat the heck out of it. If you can get your hands on some of it, it's what a treat you will have. It's delicious, and you just suck the seeds, suck around them, and spit them out and let them make more. That's why you see these coming up all over. Deer poop them out everywhere, and so the raccoons drag them and eat them everywhere. And they just... You'll see these things coming up all over the place. They're very prolific, and I'll let them grow, and hopefully I'll get some persimmons growing like this. But this here is a domesticated persimmon tree. This is a fuyu, and this produces a fruit that's going to ripen, and when it's at its ripest, it'll be orange. It'll be around fall of the year in October for me. And if I actually get some of these, because the wildlife will eat them all, if I actually get some of these, the fruit is delicious and as sweet as it can be, and it's crunchy like an apple. You can eat it like an apple. It's not soft like your traditional normal native persimmon. Native persimmons, they are astringent, and which means they have to go to the point of almost being rotten feeling, so soft and mushy before they have a palatable taste. These are crunchy, and you have the two different kinds of persimmon. You're going to have astringent and non-astringent. The non-astringent are fuyus, which are going to go and they're going to be crunchy and have sweetness like an apple, and your astringent will have to go to being almost soft and jelly-like in the center before it's ready to be eaten. And your Asian, I think it's, I want to say it's Tasmania persimmons. I think that's the name of them, Tasmania. They're going to be astringent. I got one plant of that, but it's been a while since it produced any. It produced a few fruit the first year, and it's had a hard time since then, but it's coming back nicely this year. All right, here, this is a pear tree that was on the property when the guy sold to me, and look how many pears. Look at this, what's happened. There's so many pears on that stem that it cracked. Sadly, it cracked that branch. And I'm gonna lose I'm probably gonna lose them all. It looks like that branch is dying. And that's what happens. These pears get so fruit laden that the branches crack and they bend. And these right here are cooking pears. I believe this is a Bartlett. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it's a Bartlett pear. And these are for cooking and jarring, and you make a simple syrup with them and you jar them, and man, they're delicious jarred. Very delicious. Very, very tasty jarred. All right, this is another pear tree right on the side of it, and I had fits with this pear for years. It produces all these shoots, no pears, and I was like, what's going on? Why won't this pear produce anything? He planted it. The guy who had this planted it. It never produced. I decided to buy another pear, and I read up on them, and these are called Asian pears, Oriental pears. And the thing about Oriental pears, Asian pear, and that's what it is. Pyrus pyrifolia. Pyrus pyrifolia. And I started reading up on this particular kind of tree. And look, this one's starting to grow at the top. Nice. And in order for these to produce pears, they have to have two Asian pear varieties of different species. Two Asian pear genuses of different species. And I'm almost positive this is going to be a different species than this one because from how far apart they are. But when I started looking at the leaves on here, I noticed they look very similar to the Asian pears that I've seen in books and stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, this is an Asian pear. And I can't believe it. For the first time, they started producing little pears. This year is the first time I've seen little pears on here, and these are the 4 only pears on this tree that I have. So it does produce, and they say these pears are delicious just to pick off the tree when they're ripe and eat just like an apple. So I cannot wait till these 2 trees mature together and start producing tons and tons of yummy sweet. And they say the fruit on this is sweet, sweet, sweet. Sweeter than apples. So I can't wait to see that. Here we go is another Fuyu persimmon tree. I have one right here. This one got hit harder by the freeze. So it doesn't have as much fruit on it. It has some, but it's not as full as it usually is, and I cut it back somewhat because it was having some issues. Ooh, look at that bug next to the, look at that. Ooh. Ooh. Next to that persimmon. And there's some more persimmons. Anything up here? Oh, there's one right here. And then come down to here. There's a few more over there by the bamboo patch. But there we go. And look, I told you these trees come up everywhere. That persimmon tree's coming up. I cut the grass with the bush hog the other day, and persimmon trees, that's another thing that comes up on the property. Mushrooms everywhere. Alright, here's the next in the line of the fruit trees on this property. And this would be a plum tree. We have plumb full of plums this year. And plums all over this tree. Just everywhere. This is a domesticated plum tree. Wild plums have a much smaller, wild plums have a much smaller fruit and a much bigger pit. And they're all over around here, but we have them growing up on our land just north of here. But we don't really go pick them. We just know they're there. All right, on to the last bit of fruit trees on the property. So I was heading over here, and not to sell the vines short on fruit production, I ran into these, and we have numerous blackberries growing on the property. And this is just a wild version. Now, I would say in order to species these, they found it impossible to do because they tried to divide the species as Reuis species and Reuis species, and because they tried to single out species, and even in the studies when they tried to single them out, they found that even if they thought they had it figured out, and they would plant grafts of one in the garden, a different species kind would come out. They just could never differentiate them, so they just keep them in the same genus with the verbation of species behind them. Good little blackberries, yeah. Another staple on the homestead. So, and these are the last of our blueberry trees. These are the blueberries that were here when I arrived. This bush right here. Oh, look how beautiful. Oh my goodness. Oh, flavor like you don't know. Beautiful. And I've already picked tons of these. Look at that. See? Let's go see if we can see. Gotta watch for them. Wonder if he was eating the berries. I don't think snakes eat the berries. But here's the other tree that was on the property. So, whew, the berries are falling. Rain and berries. Rain and blueberry. Definitely look like premieres. And here we go. This is my pride and joy that I'm so happy about. This is my Titan blueberry. Look at the berries on this thing. Look at the berries on this thing. These are supposed to be a variety that are monstrous. They keep getting bigger as they ripen. Look at the size of that berry. Why don't you? And I can tell you, they're still not ripe. That berry was not ripe. I know when they are. The flavor is off the charts great. Still got a few days before these are ripe. So let's give it to them. But this Titan blueberry is one heck of a customer. I tell you, that is a beautiful blueberry. And the other two blueberries, I just planted them right here. Hey, this blueberry is I think this is a Brightwell. This is a Brightwell, And I forgot that I had one that was at this stage. Man, that Brightwell has a delicious berry. Man, unbelievable. Very delicious. I'm glad I got 3 of these bushes on the property. That is just a yummy, yummy blueberry. And this last bush right here, I planted on the side because when I planted that Titan, it said it's good to have a good rabbit eye blueberry by it, and I planted this tiff blued in, and it's having trouble. But look, there's blueberries underneath there. I'm gonna get them and give them a try. Oh, look, they got one up. They got one up there too. What's that? Give it a try. That one was good. The ones down lower. Bland. The one up top was very yummy. And they got a few more, but you know, this bush is just gonna grow like mad over the course of time, and one day it'll be big and huge. So, yeah, that's it for the fruit trees and fruit on the property. Trying to do, like, if someone wants to say it's permaculture or whatever, it's just sustainability to me. Sustainability. Have something that's always producing something that you can thrive off of, live off of, get your vitamins, get what you need, get what the body needs. Oh, I had one more pear tree right here. The guy planted it. I thought it was a goner. I've been taking care of it. Full of pears now. Full of pears. Look at that. Look at these pears. Full of pears. I've been taking care of it since I've been here. Mulching around it, bringing it back. It's loving life now. I cut it back and man, wow. Wow, it's really responded. Got pecan trees. That would go for the nut trees. All over the property. That's the youngest one for pecan. But there's a nice pecan tree right here. And a good one right next to it. Let's see if they got any young immature pecans on here. Yes, they definitely do. Alright. These would be the young immature pecans. See them? So they're definitely showing that there's going to be pecans this year. That other tree over there, that pecan tree right there, and that one over there has got pecans on them too. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pecan trees on this property, and 2 hickories. I had 3, one of them died. Oh, and this is the last fruit tree. This is the Tenasia persimmon. I planted this one. It's slow growing. The deer gave it hell, and it's starting to come back nicely now. This is an astringent variety, which means it has to have matured to jelly stage before it's ready. This is a nasty tree. You don't want it anywhere in your land. That's a chicken tree or a tallow tree or a China bell tree or whatever. You just want to get rid of that. They're no good for anything. Invasive species. All right, and look, I went into the bees, and they're still there. Weeks later, they're still there. So they've recovered their hive, and they're doing their thing. I'm gonna have to put another level on there so that they have more room to grow. And I'm gonna wait another week and a half, 2 weeks to do that, and then the bees are here, and they're having a great year. Alright, y'all, whether or not you want to call it permaculture or homesteading or prepping or farming, just rural life in general, gardening, whatever. I don't really put a name to my thing. Maybe it would be better if I did on some of these videos. I'd get more popular hits. But if you want to look around, it's taken us 8 years of living here. Well, we're about on year number 7. I shouldn't say 8. It's year number 7. And it's taken us quite a long time to develop this property to just where it is. And I see a lot of people who outgrow their properties or expand or just need more room after they keep growing and growing and growing. But this is 6 acres. This is a little bit less than 6 acres, and I have another 40 acres just north of here that I have access. I can do whatever I want on. We use it for hunting and recreation right now, but if it ever came down to it and I needed a place to go, that place is, we got it ready. But I would rather stay here and spend the time on the place where I put my heart and soul into this area. If you look and you see what I'm doing with these trees, these are just pine trees. I'm marking them so that I can, you see those little flags on the trees? I'm marking them so that they can grow up and make forest land up in here. And that forest land will allow deer and more wildlife to live in here. Now, deer and wildlife can be your enemy. As much as you want to have some of that on your property, they can be your enemy. So you have to learn how to symbiotically live together with nature. And then that takes that's a learning curve. Learning how to garden even in raised bed, learning curve. I can't stress enough that word, learning curve. You do not just throw seeds in the ground and you're a gardener. You do not just go buy 50 bags of pre-made soil from a box store, throw it in the ground, throw some plants in it, and all of a sudden you say, look at me, I'm a gardener. No. When the day comes where you can make your own compost, grow your own plants from seeds you harvested from your plant, from cuttings you make. I've dug up wild trees out here and planted them and positioned them strategically how I want them. Those magnolia trees are strategically planted to give me shade in my house, aesthetic prettiness to the front yard, protection from, let's just say, G stuff, 5G, 6G, whatever maybe. I hear that kind of blocks that current. If it does, it does. I don't know. I'm not really looking for that so much as the shade value. When the shade value comes on and protects my house from the sun, my air conditioning bill goes way down right now. And then if it ever came to the time where I need to cool that house off and we don't have air conditioning, it'll be much easier to cool it off if it has shade trees protecting it from the harshness of the sun in the deep south. We leave that air conditioning off all day and we walk into the house from being out here and it feels cool. Now, after you're in it for a while, it starts to feel a little sticky and humid, but still, it's much cooler in there than it is out here. So just the grand scheme of how you bring your homestead together, think it out. You're going to make mistakes. Just remember from the start one, you will make mistakes, many mistakes. You'll have failures on things you didn't make mistakes on. Things die. Plants die all the time. Bees abscond. The weather changes and you have nothing to do with that. You cannot do anything about that. You have to develop the skills over time for the property. The property we left was a suburban area, and I had skills like you don't know to grow tomatoes in gardens on a suburban piece of like half an acre in a subdivision. I grew more tomatoes there than I grew in the first 5 years here with all of this property. Now I'm starting to finally catch on to what I got to do over here, but it's a different learning curve. It is a learning curve that I wasn't prepared for. I knew it would be a learning curve, but it's just, you have to live it. You can get yourself all jazzed up about it and hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to tackle this homesteading lifestyle, but you're not prepared for it until after you lived it and you say, wow, there's a lot to this. There's a lot I have to learn, and there's so much more I still have to learn. So don't get discouraged on the failures. A lot of them aren't even your fault. Things happen. Alright, that's about all I'm going to say on this one. Hopefully I'm getting back to making videos. I'm going to have my surgery in another 2 weeks. And after that, after my recovery, I'll start my new shift at my job. I should be able to start making more videos around the house and more outdoors videos. And that's the ones I really wanted to bring to y'all, is some more outdoors videos, especially the fishing and hunting variety. So I'll talk to y'all later. Hope y'all are all doing well, and see you soon. One thing I wanted to show y'all is part of homesteading and living outside and doing for yourself is making cuttings, growing from cuttings, growing from seeds. And this right here is basically my seed starting table, my cutting table, and my growing from bare minimum type areas. I'll show y'all a few of the things I got going here. It's pretty interesting what I got. We have right here, these are cuttings from, oops, I got some trash growing in there. These are cuttings from some rosemary. These are all growing just great. This is a Premier blueberry cutting, and it's growing just fine. This is a Titan blueberry cutting, and out of about the 8 or 9 that I did, these are the only 2 blueberries that are still left, and they're both doing just fine. They're making, I know they're making roots, so I don't see any in there yet, but I know they are. If they wouldn't be, this would have turned brown and all these leaves would have fell off and died, but they've been at it for several months now. These are all camellias, all in the black pots. That's mostly camellias. Those came from seeds from one camellia tree that died. She's leaving her legacy in all of these young, beautiful camellias. You know how much camellias cost at the store? This is a hydrangea, and this broke off in my wife's car when we were bringing it home. And I said, let me stick it in a pot. And look at this sucker growing. Putting out all this new growth. All it had was those 2 leaves, that kind of discolored one. Look, it's putting out new leaves right there. Nice. Here's a couple rose clippings. Boy, look at these growing beautifully. I need to plant these. These are beautiful roses off of my beautiful rose. I'll show that to y'all in a little bit. And back there's some aloe vera. My mom gave me those. They were on the last leg. And look at this one putting out 1, 2, 3, 4 pups. I need to separate all of those out into different canisters, and I'll have tons of aloe. They need more area to grow. They're so pretty compared to what they were. Beautiful. But that's just the cuttings and whatnot. You can really make yourself a lot of nice trees. Get cuttings from fruit trees, from ornamentals, from, I love roses, I love my hydrangeas, and that's all in itself. The other thing is we dig up volunteers, and my wife she got tired of seeing those flowers by her front porch, so she brought them to me. I got pineapples that are growing. I need to transplant those and clean them out. That's a little gem magnolia. Oh man, and that's a little gem magnolia. The bugs are tearing them up. I'm gonna have to do something about that. And this was a crepe myrtle that was growing in the yard, so we're gonna plant that. We're gonna put it in a box, in a bucket, and let it kind of heal itself from the transplant shock. Let it grow. Then I'll plant it in a strategically placed area in the yard that we want to have crepe myrtles growing. I got crepe myrtles growing in this yard already, but we find some of the neighbors have crepe myrtles, and we find volunteers growing in their yard. So it's different varieties from what I have. Natchez whites that I got from our place up north of here, where we have crepe myrtles growing. And I like the Natchez whites, but I also like these other colored ones. And these come from my neighbor, and he has purples and pinks. So I'm sure these are purples and pinks. So we're gonna see what happens with that. So again, pineapples grown from the tops of pineapples we ate, and magnolias that I found growing in the yard that I want to plant them in specific areas where they'll do fine, but I need to help them a little bit. And that's it. So just part of the whole homesteading thing, growing things in areas where they're strategically going to help you, whether it's prettiness, something that you aesthetically like, or whether it's something that gives you food, sustenance, shade, comfort. Comfort is something that's very important. And if something shades your house or shades an area of the yard for you to go sit in a chair in, it serves a purpose. So anyway, that's enough of that, y'all. I'm going to take care of tying some tomatoes up, and maybe even dig a few potatoes. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all take care. Bye.